This is really cool news. The first NBA player, the first openly gay player came out.
Yes.
His name is Jason Collins. He wrote a piece in Sports Illustrated that opens with, "I'm a 34-year-old NBA center. I'm black and I'm gay." In 1998, he actually had a kind of quiet tribute, and he changed his number to
98.
Honoring Matthew Shepard.
Yeah, that has he picked the number because it has a huge significance in the gay community. And I thought that was really moving to read about that. He has a really good op-ed that I'll link to in the episode recap in Sports Illustrated. But he said he chose that number because even though he wasn't out of the closet, he wanted to, sort of do something symbolic for the LGBT community.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so moving because just picturing like how brave, Jason is to come out in a really like heteronormative culture.
Yeah.
Like the NBA, like a very like machismo culture. First of all, coming out at all is very brave. But even when he was in the closet doing something really powerfully symbolic like that was extremely brave of him.
Yeah. So this one guy over at Breitbart. So we're getting a bunch of amazing reactions, obviously, from our...
Let me guess. He said something really supportive and sweet about Jason.
Well, it's so interesting because like all of my fighter friends on Facebook, who I don't talk about with politics... I just forget how much traction gay rights has gained in the last couple of years. So, like, all my fighter friends are like, this was so brave. This is amazing. And I'm like, all right, like, this is out of my political circle that, like, I follow on Twitter. So it really is harder to, without sounding like a total bigot. Like, you can't just come out and say, like, being gay is against God anymore. Because the majority of people...
Oh, no, you can.
Well, you can. But what I'm saying is...
And they'll invite you on CNN, too.
I know. But a lot of Republicans are trying to be trickier about it, is the point I'm trying to make, you know? And it's like... Because it's not as accepted to say that shit anymore. So this one guy from Breitbart goes... He goes, "Since when did coming out of the closet make you a, quote, hero? What happened to the days of Normandy?"
Like, oh, wait, I know this guy. So he also, somebody put his tweets back to back. They took screenshots of them. And he went on this right-wing Tea Party hacks radio show.
Yeah.
And he calls him a hero. But then he doesn't think Jason's a hero for coming out in the NBA. So that's where his priorities are.
Yeah, so he says... So Jason Collins is a hero because he's gay. Our standard for heroism has dropped quite a bit since Normandy. It's Ben Shapiro. And I tweeted
So then he also made the argument that this isn't a big deal because Jason's not a very good basketball player.
Right. So I tweeted...
Like, what?
I love the Normandy thing because I tweeted him and I was like, you were in Normandy? Were you in Iraq? Oh, no.
Are you saying Normandy? Like Normandy Beach?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, you're just a fucking hateful blogger. And yeah. So then Adam Stewart... found a bunch of his on the phenomenal Mark Levin show to discuss bullies. Mark is a hero. Then his next tweet, fact, Newt Gingrich is a hero for speaking truth on Palestine. Next tweet, with Senator Ted Cruz, Tea Party hero at Green Room at Hannity.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like breaking ignorant people still think ignorant shit.
Well, and then there's another guy who, again, is a right-wing guy and trying to get traffic or whatever. He's an author named Jason Matera. And he goes, it's just so interesting how they're trying to frame it now. Tip for gay activists. Heterosexuals don't announce to the world that they're heterosexual.
Yeah,
like,
that's because they're the majority.
Yeah.
And they don't have to fight for their rights.
One of my Twitter followers wrote, I think every time they announce to the world that they banged a hot chick is announcing their heterosexuality. Which I
love when they do shit like this, though, because it just shows how completely antiquated they are.
Yeah.
And how they're rapidly being left behind. Because when we hear comments like that, it's like, wow, you are a fossil.
Yeah.
You're a joke.
Ian Phillips just wrote on that line you just said, my favorite bigot line is he's a bad player, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, you make it to the NBA, fuckwad.
Yeah, like, the worst NBA player is still... like such a good basketball player and would totally kick your ass if you played against them.
But it's like you do anything besides sit on Twitter by yourself and like judge other people. And you can't because you're a piece of shit. Boop, boop, boop.
Right. So, yeah, we wanted to obviously give a huge shout out to Jason Collins because this is going to happen more and more, but it can't happen at all until the first person steps forward.
Yeah, this is kind of another no shit LGBT issue, but I do think it's important. Big Gay Allen sent it to us. Salon wrote a piece. Conversion therapy advocate issues formal apology and renounces ex-gay past. So he was for a big one. He was the former Exodus International chairman in conversion therapy. He was their big success story. His name was John Pollock. He wrote a formal statement and an apology in promoting focus on the family's ex-gay ministry.
Whenever I picture them, I always picture Paul Dano in There Will Be Blood, just like saying a bunch of shit up on the stage and like tongue, like quote unquote tongue, like just babbling.
Like you always picture that, or like in a Dayquil haze right now you're picturing that?
No, like every time I think about the quote unquote conversion therapy, like that doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean it's really scary. Like it's fun to sort of, it's easy to make fun of, right? Because you see this guy and you're like, oh yeah, the gay guy, and you know you're like, haha, you are really gay. I knew it. But in reality, it's like, I mean, this shit drives people to suicide.
Yeah.
I mean, when you are being told that everything you're doing is against God and you just have to pray, then you don't think you're praying hard enough and you think you're broken. I mean, especially for kids and teenagers, like, this is fucking horrible. But, so it's like, it's hard to like slow clap this guy, you know? I mean, he wrote 2 books. He has a ton of stuff out there. He went on news shows.
I love slow clapping.
I know. But he really was their success story. And it wasn't a success story.
Yeah,
he was gay.
Not.
He's out of the closet. He wrote a very heartfelt apology letter for, you know, he was talking about the lives he ruined. And he did. He ruined many lives. And he has to live with that. But it's good. You know, a lot of people wouldn't even come out of the closet. And they just kind of bask in shame.
Right.
And so it's at least good that this guy, hopefully, it'll reach other people who are going to the conversion therapy, and they'll be like, all right, so maybe it's not true.